I think Swapnil's got this new coach wala haircut also. So,
Yeah,
Yeah.
I got a haircut.
fade,
It
whatever
looks
the
very footballerish to me.
fade. It's called a fade. It's called a fade.
Yeah, yeah.
Also, quick question. Did
Yes.
you guys dye your hair when they started graying first? Either of you?
Nah.
Never?
Die before die.
No, not at all. So, are you ready?
Yes, we are ready.
Ooh,
Yeah.
okay. All right. So here's the way in which we are going to play this, and we will cut this when your guys. I'll give you guys a couple of minutes to think about this, and then whatever. So I'll lay the context, right? So we were talking about differentiation versus distinctiveness. So that's the thinking, right? Now, one of the biggest problems I've had with Byron Sharp and everybody else who's associated with that school of thinking. By the way, I have nothing. I don't have everything against him. There's a lot of good things that he's saying. Is I don't know whether he's done a very good job of explaining how it will work with a startup. I think he's very good in explaining ceteris paribus. So this is how the market is, and that's why double jeopardy works, or that's why this works, or whatever. And he's very good at it. But if you are an entrepreneur, and if you are an innovator who's bringing a new product or service to the market, right? I'm giving you the context behind it. Then I'm not sure how to use all this distinction and differentiation and all of that piece. So instead of asking you a theoretical question, and as somebody who's been an entrepreneur, and I know that you guys have been more on the corporate side rather than being entrepreneurs, I would love to know how you think. And there's no right or wrong, right? I just want to know your thinking behind the way in which you do it. I want you to think about the fact that you've switched over to the gig economy and you've been given some funding, maybe. You've perhaps got product market fit, but I'll leave it to you. The only condition that I've got is that whatever product, service, or idea that is there in your mind, it can be blue ocean, it can be red ocean, whatever it may be, right? It cannot be like, oh, I've solved global warming or something. So it cannot be like one of those massive inventions that don't need any kind of marketing. Okay, so
Yeah.
yeah, so that's my only condition, that it does require some marketing. It, and I wouldn't say, oh, I've invented Chat GPT, for example, right? It's like that is like, okay, perhaps it could have worked even without. Okay, so having given that, I want you guys to have a think about. Um, you are given the mandate as a founder, CMO, to actually start marketing for your brand, which all the identity and all is kind of done, right? Or maybe halfway through. Again, I leave it to you. The question is, will you go for differentiation or distinctiveness? How will you think through a marketing strategy for your product launch, which is at a startup stage? Okay. So have a think. If you have an immediate answer, you can just, and we can take a cut here and we can restart. So I just wanted to give you a couple of minutes and then we can roll with this.
Can I ask one question?
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Hmm.
So is this startup like a category creation work thing, or is it like an existing industry where you started a company and you're doing pretty well? Like,
So that's a question like, is it blue ocean category creation or is it red ocean, whatever? Your
okay.
call. Your call.
But Krishni, just to kind of counter argue, how will that matter?
I think to
Oh,
me,
one sec. Save your answer. Save your answer, Swapnil. So,
my
No, I'm,
decision
I'm,
will
I'm just counter questioning that
uh,
because I would anyway want Krishni to answer this question first, given that I do have an experience of working in a startup
I know.
and
Yeah.
trying to, right? So I have my own stories to tell, and I will obviously give you my thoughts on this, but I would love to hear Krishni speak first. But any which way, the question that she's asked is not invalid. I am just to kind of get her to think a little more. My counter question to that is, how does that even matter? Whether it's category creation or not, is that supposed to make a huge difference in the first place?
Yeah, and if it is, yeah, cool. So state your reasons why. Okay. So I give you your minute. I give you your couple of minutes, and then we shall tell me when you're
Yeah,
ready. So Krishni is ready.
Krishna has to be ready.
yeah, I'm ready.
Good
I
then.
can give
Let's go.
one example,
No,
and
no.
it
Krishna,
Are you ready with how you will go about things? You
like
are.
answer to if I was a marketeer for a company
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
in a space, and like what strategy would I go after,
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
from
Yeah.
a differentiation versus distinctiveness answer.
Yeah, and just give whatever, whatever comes to your mind, even if it is nothing to do with differentiation or distinctiveness. That's also okay.
Yeah. So see, for me, two things that you gave.
Yeah.
First were, and I really want to know why category creation, because I have a personal example.
Hmm.
I think Sid may have forgotten that we did chat about this, but not long ago, before I joined Micah, I had my own content blogging website,
I do
which
remember.
was, yeah, and at that point we were sort of the pioneers in making finance content and economics content fun for millennials, like break down concepts, so to say. And at that point, when we were going marketing our product, it was important to sell the differentiation point. Like, I didn't have to essentially be distinctive. And very frankly, like, we were kids in college. I was 17, 18 while we were doing this. I didn't understand like the semantics or the semiotics of marketing, of color kya hona chahiye, brand kaise dikhna chahiye, all of that. We were very much focused on growth marketing and how we could stand out in the crowd, like in terms of whatever we did, be it our marketing or be it something unique. So back then, like in 2013, 2014, it was pretty unique to do UGC based things, like user generated content ke competition kara diya. So we did a DU wide competition where we got some 18,000 kids to participate in a competition, like pretty hackily, and we got them to design our logo, where our brand thinking sort of got initiated, like, okay, these colors, this is what the brand stands for, this is what the name should be, etc. So if I was doing category creation work, I would definitely stand for differentiation, at least when I get to it. And once the competition sort of comes there, I would go after distinctive, because it, to me, will then be about building memory structures and staying on top. Because the world we had stepped into was when very few people had apps, and cut to 5 or 6 years later, everybody had apps or everybody had Instagram channels. Like today, one of my juniors does this thing, and he has close to 1 million followers on Instagram. And he talks about finance in a very fun way. His channel is called Unfinance. And there are so many influencers who do this, but he has like a hook thing in the end, which is very distinctive, unique to him, that sort of stands out. There's no differentiation it creates in the functional part of the content he gives, which is his product, or maybe to some extent his marketing, because similar channels, everybody's pretty much there. But the way he talks is distinctive, and it stands out because he presents everything like a nukkad natak. So
Interesting.
yeah,
So
that's
I'm saying that, look, you can always answer we'll do both. Okay, so that is differentiation. But if you had to choose, and if budgets are limited, what will you put your
I
focus
would
on?
go for differentiation hands down, because I think I've done that, and I feel
But
when I don't have money on
but
my
don't you
side.
just argue for distinctiveness in a way when you are giving that
No, when
finance?
the cat, that's why I asked you when category is heavy. If it's category creation, you have to make people see the functional benefit of the category, in my mind. Like, this
Okay.
is something we've never
So
considered, and it's competing with everything else there is. I
So,
am fighting for mind
let's
share.
interrupt, Swapnil,
Using
hold on.
Krishna,
So,
may I?
I just want to get one point of clarity from Krishni, and then I'll let you go on. Um, Krishni, if you had to do the same thing again today,
Hmm.
how would you go about it? Would you go about it the same way, or would it be different?
Um,
A few hours later.
I'm gonna be honest. Like, I wish I had the knowledge that I do today.
Yeah.
Uh, but in a space in that time with no other player around, I think I
Hmm.
would still go after the same thing. I think that's where my head is at this point. It may
Different.
be completely wrong, and I'm waiting
No, no.
to hear
See, there is
perspective.
no right or wrong. I have no fixed thing. It was a genuine question to both of you, right? And I know
Absolutely.
You
No, but I
had
want to hear Swapnil's perspective also because I feel like he has a
he
very
was
strong
he was
counter.
shaking his head vigorously, so I want to
He's
know.
knitting.
No, it's nothing like that. So I think first and foremost, it's a good thing that differentiation versus distinction is definitely something that has taken 3 episodes now. So I'm absolutely sure Byron Sharp somewhere is hiccuping,
Yeah.
right? Indian
Yeah.
culture जब आप किसी को
कितने
याद
लोग
करते हो
बोलते हैं?
तो हिचकी आती है, right? तो अभी ऑस्ट्रेलिया में it must be way past midnight, and you must be thinking अभी मेरे को हिचकियाँ क्यों आ रही हैं? But anyway, with love from India and England, right? But I think Krishni, just the point that you said, I think it's important to realize that differentiation does not necessarily mean landing the functional benefit, right? Differentiation could very well be the proposition. A soap is a soap is a soap, yeah. But Lux is the beauty. Used to be, I don't know, but Lux used to be the choice of film stars, right? फिल्मी सितारों का सौंदर्य साबुन, and Lifebuoy was always about Lifebuoy है जहाँ तंदुरुस्ती है वहाँ. It's
Hmm.
still the same bloody soap. Yeah,
Yeah.
the formulation, the way of making the soap, which you would have learned from Fight Club, is exactly how soap is made. Just that they don't use human fat, but so differentiation is not fundamentally about just functional features.
So,
Differentiation is anything that helps. So where is it going? Differentiation fundamentally says it is for this reason that I believe this product or this service is different from everything else, and this difference is strong enough for me to choose it over some other for over any other product or service in the commensurate basket, right? So in a market where
hmm.
everything is mass market,
Hmm.
a very premium product is differentiated only on the fact that yaar, we are very premium. You might not be doing anything else. It's just that being found, it's a status symbol that people are talking of. Anyway,
So hold on. So let me ask a question so that I'll get more clarity. Would you say you saying that you're for the environment? Will it be a form of sustainable differentiation if
in
it's
the
a
case,
commoditized market?
honestly, again, if a brand can convince people saying that, hey, again, it's a very interesting topic. This one's such a touchy topic, right? And I was listening to a podcast in which Dubner is interviewing Thaler,
Yeah.
right? And Thaler made a very interesting observation. It's just coincidental that I heard it today in the morning. But Thaler makes a very interesting observation where he said nudge cannot solve sustainability problem, but
Hmm.
without nudge, sustainability can't be solved either, right?
Yeah.
So
Okay.
you need to create those nudges where either there is a significant negative barrier for people to stop doing something,
Yeah.
or those small steps. But yeah, it's such a big problem that you won't be able to solve it anyway. That
Sure.
was a digression.
Yeah.
In the words of Leonardo DiCaprio from for Django Unchained, sorry, I digress. Uh, right, back to topic. So if you as a brand can land yourself as we are responsible and therefore you should choose us, it is a huge point of differentiation. And there is a real example, Patagonia.
Yeah. Absolutely.
In the world of fast fashion,
Yeah.
they actually say don't buy this jacket,
Yeah.
right? Because and they live that. See,
Yeah.
they are living breathing that principle. So that's their source of differentiation. Again, a jacket is a jacket is a jacket,
Yeah.
right? So at a fundamental level, what are you doing? You're creating a differentiation that is coming from proposition. You could have a differentiation, and I'm saying, see, differentiation per se
It
could
could be
come
about
from,
anything. It could be about
yeah,
the business
if
model.
you
It
think
could be
about
about emotions. Yeah.
yeah,
All
if
of
you
it.
think about it, there is a truth that I try to land, and there is a reason to believe for that truth for people to say yes, I trust them, to
Hmm.
build that trust. Now, on a 2 by 2 axis, both can be split across rational and emotional. So you can actually have a very rational benefit coming from a very rational reason to believe, right? uh, Red Bull keeps on pushing the same thing, but there it's an emotive benefit, not just an emotive, it's a functional benefit of extremely high energy. Not their expression is a very different thing, but it's about high energy that comes from very high, from
Understood.
what the product is all
Okay,
about,
got it. So we
right?
got it. We got it. Come back to answering
Now
your
back to question number one.
yes.
Honestly, I think the reality for any brand that is coming in, there are a few things that a brand needs to think of. The first one is, even if it's a startup, even if it's a product or a service, the fundamental laws of marketing apply, which basically means that whether you're the law of double jeopardy or differentiation or distinction, all of that apply. In a case where you're creating the category, by default you are differentiated,
True.
right? Because there's no benchmark, right? Benchmarking, in the first place, you are setting that standard,
Yeah.
Hmm.
and therefore you're differentiated. Yeah.
Hmm.
In a case where there are a lot of me toos is where the need to start becoming distinctive starts
Become the
becoming more important. Now, and let's go back to the example that we picked up in the last discussion, which was the communication, the newspaper ad that came out, where boat was trying to compare itself to Apple.
yeah.
If you think about it, and again, Sid, I would request you to read that post. I think I did a good job there. But if you think about it, what have
I
they?
haven't done it. Yes.
They're very smartly playing that game where they're not trying to do differentiation. They're trying to become distinctive by taking a name which is purely differentiated, right? They're playing this game to say there is an apple, and then there is the rest. In your earbuds and earpods or earphones kind of category, there is no brand. There is one Apple AirPods which are like, okay,
True.
if I roam around with those hanging from my ear, I have arrived. Everything else is like one level,
Hmm.
unless and until you're into professional whatever. And what they're trying to do is, this is the brand name you should remember, because they also understand, yeah, that fundamentally I am not giving you something which is so distinct and so different from everyone else that you will say, hey, purely differentiated, and therefore I'll happily choose it, and I will also pay a premium, right?
So
So
sorry,
if you're
sorry.
creating a category,
What will you do? What will you do?
so that's what I'm saying. I'm just kind of breaking it down
Sure.
in both parts. If you're creating a category, obviously you're creating a differentiation, so your game there is differentiation, and you're building this, and your job is to build awareness and consideration for your differences. If you're a me too product in a category, your first job is to start building distinctiveness. Especially if you're a me too, you know they're a me too, then your job is to start building salience. Yeah, because you understand that you're not differentiated in that game. The benefit of today's marketer, the benefit for today's marketer, is the fact that, unlike what used to happen 20 years back, you have the opportunity to clearly define who your core audience would be and how you can reach them. So you can become a lot more effective in landing that differentiation or distinctiveness.
So if you had
Now,
10 rupees, if you had 10
huh,
rupees, how much will you give towards distinctiveness?
so let me look at it like this. And again, I'll just put, there are assumptions that need to be played. So today, as I stand, I realize that there is nothing that is differentiated for me, right? I am like, let's say it's a new soap or it's a new beauty cream, right? Let's say I'm a new beauty cream. Now, beauty creams are a million brands in the market. And I
Hmm.
realize that, uh, well, here I am. Honestly, my first effort would be to try and see, can I, for example, differentiate on proposition? Because I can still fine tune my benefit to say, hey, this is my reason to exist in the market. That'll be my first step. But this is still before I have started taking it to the consumer. When I start taking it to the consumer, again, this is the filter. Have I been able to create something differentiated? Then yes, build awareness that will lead to consideration. Now,
So
let's
then,
say I am not differentiated, and I'm now finishing my argument. It's a very long monologue that has happened. Let's say I'm not differentiated. the way I would look at it is those 10 rupees, 8 rupees on building for today, 2 rupees invested for creating something for the future, which hopefully will be differentiated. You
Okay.
need to start looking at the future, because differentiation has the ability to provide you, one, a long runway where there is no competition, and two, an ability to charge a premium. So why would you want to miss out on that? But if you can't do that, if everyone's importing earbuds from China, then distinctiveness is the game. You do not have anything to differentiate yourself upon.
Yeah. No,
So just this
I think
yours.
Krishni had her hand raised, so I'm going to let her
Yeah, so
speak.
actually, I had an interesting data point,
Yeah, go for it.
which actually proves what Swapnil is saying could potentially be accurate.
Hmm.
Because I went to Google Trends and I typed AirPods as a search term, and the first search term, like the related terms that trend around it, are AirPods Pro, Apple AirPods, AirPods Price, AirPods Case. But the fifth term that's in the top is actually Boat, and the seventh is also Boat Airdopes. So it does make sense with
Okay,
what he's
cool.
saying. I think, and surprisingly, it's in the last 3 weeks that it started breaking out as well, which is about the time when the ad came out. So
It's a
interesting.
बोर्ड की
strange.
अच्छी बात करी आपने.
Well done. It's a strange observation because I was going to use Google as an example in a different way,
Yeah,
which was like I realized that Google was a Me Too. It was not something which was. It was not the first mover or anything of
yeah,
that sort.
absolutely not.
Yeah. And the thing is, what was it all about? It was about distinctiveness. That the user interface was extremely seductive. It was not differentiated. It was distinctive. And if you can look at it was clean, it was whatever, and that's how it was different from, say, a Yahoo or an Alta Vista or whatever it was at that point in time. And so I'm wondering whether it is a question of now I'll have to be distinctive, because Google was like, what, 20 years ago, 25 years ago.
I'll possibly again disagree with you on this one. And for whatever it is worth, that also takes me on another journey where you should read this book called Different.
Hmm.
The title of the book is Different,
Hmm.
by a writer called Young Me Moon. She's a marketing prof, and if she's listening to this podcast, I can share my bank account details for promoting her book. But anyway, the
I think
What
point
we
is,
relationship it is?
hiccups to मिल रहे हैं सबको.
हाँ, मतलब I am getting like half the world, Australia, now US. But yeah, the point I'm trying to make is, if you think about it again, and I'm saying Google and their interface is a beautiful example of, they actually came in as a very, very differentiated product, because they said, in this world, I am going to be the compendium of all knowledge in the world. That was their differentiated place, and they said, we will make this simple. And their interface, which was this absolutely naked page with just the Google logo and a bar, was a way to say, we are simplifying things. It was living the brand differentiation in every interface. So they built that way, right?
So
I thought that is an
here's my
expression of,
question is, I would argue that this is distinctiveness.
Yeah,
I would argue that this is distinctiveness rather than
it is.
differentiation.
No, it is. I am okay. Is, in the end, there is only a little difference. Okay, English language different versus distinctive
Yes,
is, no, English language different versus distinctive is very close. They're synonyms,
very close.
right?
Yeah.
They're very close. So I'm saying, from that point of view, one can say English wise, but I'm just going back to my interpretation of what Sharp has written. And their distinctiveness is only about saying, hey, there is nothing that will get a person. So maybe look at it from a different framework, which is that meaningful, different, and salient framework. Differentiation builds your different and, to an extent, meaningful as two elements that you build, while distinction will impact salience. Yeah, and if there's a level of differentiation, then different. That's the difference. So a distinctiveness will be, for example, the only recourse for someone who cannot grow the category. If you're also, as I said, another beauty cream, then you will have to be distinctive, because there's nothing that tells the consumer why they should choose you or they should pay top dollar for you.
Hmm. You can completely manage to confuse the hell out of me with.
Yeah. On the other hand, I Googled, and distinct is different in a way that you can see, hear, smell, feel, and
Ah,
observe.
okay,
And
interesting.
different, on the other hand, is not of the same kind, or partly, or like totally unlike. So, can I ask a question? Does that mean that distinct is a subset of different?
Or is different a subset of distinct?
Is there
See,
like a Venn?
there is a
Okay,
reason. No,
I know there is Venn
no,
diagram where they overlap. That's what you
no,
gave
no,
with Apple
Krishni.
example.
Actually, when you talked of that, no, now if you read by Sharp, and I'm saying Sid, you would agree, his whole element of, or his whole argument behind distinctiveness is to say whatever elements you have on the brand, just make them shine. And that's exactly what she said about distinctiveness, color,
See,
sound,
smell.
whatever, right? So sight smell, that's exactly what they're saying there is nothing that,
Okay,
again,
I think
they're
we've
saying ये elements है, इन्हीं को push करते रहो यार.
I think we are reaching a good place. But now, if you have to answer that question, if you had a startup, okay, and if you had to put your marketing rupees or dollars or whatever you want to call it in making a brand look, smell, whatever, distinctive, or are you going to actually focus on making it different from competition? Let's say in either a functional way or an emotional way or a business model way or whatever it is. How will you actually allocate your marketing budget? And what I heard from Swapnil, and I'm more than happy to let you change your mind. You said I'll put distinctiveness, $8 on distinctiveness and two for future differentiation is what I've understood from you. So,
Yeah.
so I'd like to ask Krishni first, and maybe Swapnil, you can have a little time to process where we are in this conversation.
I think I would continue with my old answer, because I feel when you're going with category creation, I would want to spend that money on
Different.
differentiation, get it out in the market, do the job of doing the category creation, and then build towards distinctiveness. Because I know, like, if I've established something to be good, people are going to come in, and that's the time to hit a different note
Hmm.
with people.
Hmm. Very cool.
Uh, yeah,
Yeah.
that's how I'm going to spend my dollars. I'm not going to spend a lot of money at that time, because my product should stand out for me, and I feel that's what everybody does, given like initial phase of growth marketing, is spend less money but get more word out. And it's like towards the later parts where you can spend and reach masses.
Interesting. But
Yeah.
I mean, there can be an argument against
Yeah,
this.
I know, because I was thinking of it, and I feel even that can happen, because a lot of companies spend on performance marketing initially, and then they're like, now word of mouth will kind of take care of it.
Which is
So I,
what the interesting thing would be, looking at it from a startup entering the market rather than a ceteris paribus thing, which Sharp is really good at. Swapnil,
See,
how about
and
you?
the reality, I'm saying, sorry, just that small bit that Krishni put right at the end, and that's the big problem that a lot of organizations face in terms of scaling up with a consumer franchise.
Hmm.
Because performance in the fundamental, at a fundamental level, performance marketing is to make the mid funnel and the bottom funnel
Correct.
more efficient,
Correct.
yeah,
right? It's an efficiency tool. But I'm
Yes.
saying, well, to move mid funnel and bottom funnel, there has to be something at the top funnel.
Yes.
What are you doing? So see, Sid, again, the question that you asked, no, from a differentiation or a distinctiveness purpose, I think there is a nuance that we need to realize, that when we are going to consumer, then our job is awareness and consideration.
Yeah.
Now, are we building awareness and consideration for my distinctiveness or my differentiation is the question. Which is
Yeah.
why, which is why, as Krishni said, if it's a new category, all you have pure differentiation. Build awareness and build consideration for that. If you're a me too, then your first challenge is, and I'm saying, marry these principles that work, which is one,
Correct.
if you don't have a differentiation and then you're a new brand, you have the law of double jeopardy working. Every time you will do something on your brand, someone else will benefit.
hmm,
Correct.
Therefore, you need to work harder on getting your distinctiveness and shout from rooftops if needed. The return on investment in the beginning will be low, but your job is still awareness and consideration, right? And which is why I said, before you do that, think if there is a way by which you can create something which is strong enough for a consumer to say, I will choose this over that and I will pay extra money for it.
Hmm. Hmm.
Then
Wonderful.
and then if you can't, and it's only possible that you can't, you then say, hey, I still need to keep looking at the future because I know differentiation is a lot tougher to do, and at the same time, if I am able to do it, I get a sustained benefit.
You're
Yeah,
gambling because in an earlier episode you
you
did
have
say differentiation is a temporary mode.
you
I remember you saying that.
just that differentiation as a moat lasts longer than distinctiveness as a moat. Distinctiveness is you
Yeah,
that's the point I'm trying to make. So again, it's a very interesting argument for everyone to go back and read the book and get this nuance of differentiation versus distinctiveness clearly, because the second part of taking to consumer, as I said, is awareness and consideration building,
sure. No, I think
which
point well taken.
fundamentally will remain the same whether it's a distinctive brand or a differentiated brand.
Correct. No, absolutely. I think a lot of takeaways right now. I know that we got to get back to class. So, it's high time that we stop this yammering about differentiation and distinctiveness. I personally think choose the right tool is what my takeaway is. Choose the right tool. Also concentrate on the top of the funnel so that you get the performance marketing thing. And, enough said about that. I don't know. Any other takeaway that you got?
Now, I think the second point that you made is extremely important. A lot of people never focus on building the top funnel,
Hmm.
right? Everything is ROI and ROAS, and I'm saying
Yeah.
it's, again, not taking away, it's important,
Hmm.
but that cannot be the be all and end all.
Yeah.
If you
Yeah.
don't feed the cow, it won't give you milk.
Yeah, okay. All right then. Okay.
On that note,
On that note, okay. So
I,
do you have a good fact for us,
oh
Swapnil?
yes, yes. From the topic that you said, confused the hell out of us.
Yeah.
So the interesting fact of today is that this small European country called Malta,
Hmm.
yeah, it's a deeply Christian country. So much so that in that small place, there are 365 churches, right?
Wow.
But the interesting thing is that in all of those 365 churches in Malta, there are two clocks. Every church has two clocks, one which
right?
actually shows the correct time, and the second that shows the wrong time, so that they can confuse the devil about when the Sunday Mass is going to happen.
Oh
Wow.
God.
Man, okay. So he's not a smart devil, he's a dumb devil.
Yeah.
He's confused. He says maybe, see, so confusing the hell out of the devil is easy. All you need is 730 clocks for 365 churches.
Wow, no, I did not know that. Malta. I've always wanted to visit Malta, by the way.
Yeah.
Now you have another excuse to go there.
Yeah, it was below
On that
Italy.
note, I have a question for you guys. Do you know what the fastest animal on earth is?
Fastest animal on earth.
Animal, yeah?
Animal. Hmm. Well, if you consider that human beings can use aeroplanes, then human beings.
No, no, aeroplanes, no.
The fastest land
Animals.
animal is cheetah, right?
That's land.
She
Ah,
just
okay.
said animal, so she obfuscated it.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think probably one of the peregrine falcons or something.
Yes, that's the right answer. And you win
Okay.
like bragging rights to win this. But I also very recently learned because I also thought it's the cheetah, and then I realized like there are close to six animals that come in that pegging order before the cheetah sort of comes in,
Right. Right.
and
Yeah.
even this is slower than the speed of a Bugatti Veyron.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Okay.
you
On that weird note, let's stop this show.
okay?
Okay.
All
You
right.
got it.
I hope the surprising nature of this episode excited you just as it much did me, because the curious soul in me learned quite a bit about differentiation and distinction. In a world where competition is an everyday thing, everybody is your competitor. I think differentiation, like Swapnil pointed out, is like a long gone game. So, with that, if you want to know more about how this plays into the world of today with some actual insights from real life, tap into part two, which is available soon for you guys to see. Let us know in the comments what you thought of this episode and something interesting that we could do for the next time. Fact of the day from Swapnil will be available in the very next episode. See you guys on the other side.